Let's compare pardons, Richard Nixon's to Mike Flynn's. And then let's talk about why Donald Trump's corrupt pardons must be challenged. Because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So let's take a few minutes to compare the pardon that Donald Trump just delivered to Mike Flynn to the pardon that Gerald Ford delivered to Richard Nixon many years ago. And then let's talk about why Donald Trump's corrupt pardons must be challenged. Let's start with the language of Gerald Ford's pardon of Richard Nixon. I urge you to go online and read the entire pardon. It's only a couple of pages long, and it's really interesting and it's important historically. But here is some of what Gerald Ford put in his pardon of Richard Nixon. First of all, he talked about how an investigation had been conducted by the House of Representatives, specifically the Judiciary Committee, and how the Judiciary Committee had voted in favor of articles of impeachment for Richard Nixon. And then Gerald Ford went on to talk about the impact to the country that a criminal investigation and a criminal trial of a former president might have. And here's how he put it. The tranquility to which this nation has been restored by the events of recent weeks, meaning Richard Nixon's resignation, the tranquility to which this nation has been restored by the events of recent weeks could be irreparably lost by the prospects of bringing to trial a former president of the United States. The prospects of such trial will cause prolonged and divisive debate over the propriety of exposing to further punishment and degradation a man who has already paid the unprecedented penalty of relinquishing the highest elective office of the United States. Now, let's set aside whether we agree or disagree with those sentiments, but let's go on to review the language that Gerald Ford then used in his pardon of Richard Nixon. He went on to say, quote, "Now, therefore, I, Gerald R. Ford, President of the United States, pursuant to the pardon power conferred upon me by Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution, have granted, and by these presents do grant, a full, free, and absolute pardon unto Richard Nixon for all offenses against the United States which he, Richard Nixon, has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 20th, 1969 through August 9th, 1974. So that was just part of the pardon that was issued by Gerald Ford to Richard Nixon. Now, let's talk about Donald Trump's pardon of Mike Flynn. In a tweet, quote, "It is my great honor to announce that General Michael T. Flynn has been granted a full pardon. Congratulations to General Flynn and his wonderful family. I now know that you will have a truly fantastic Thanksgiving." You know, it sounds like Donald Trump is telling Mike Flynn he just won the Price is Right showcase or solved the Wheel of Fortune final puzzle. Congratulations to you and your wonderful family. Enjoy your turkey day. You know, first of all, we haven't seen a pardon yet of Mike Flynn. We've seen a tweet. We've seen a ridiculous White House press release. I urge you to read that bit of propaganda. We haven't seen a pardon. We don't know what crimes Michael Flynn was pardoned for. We don't know the dates covered by the pardon. Now, I know the presidential pardon purists will say that, he can just issue a blanket pardon. He doesn't have to say what crimes he's actually pardoning Mike Flynn for? Well, that may be right at this moment in time, but Congress, if you're listening, can I suggest some legislation that says if a president is going to wield this awesome pardon power, that the president should at least be required to put what crimes he is actually pardoning the person for? That's not restricting the president's pardon power. It's just ensuring that the president knows what he's pardoning the person for. We don't know. Is the president pardoning Mike Flynn just for him lying to the FBI? Is the president also pardoning him for illegal lobbying on behalf of the Republic of Turkey, which Mike Flynn admitted to in his guilty plea in this case? Is he also pardoning him for the false documents he filed with the Department of Justice to try to cover up his illegal lobbying for Turkey? We don't know. What other crimes might Mike Flynn have committed? Because do we really think that's the universe of crimes? What other crimes might Mike Flynn have committed that the president is pardoning him for? And what are the dates? Even the Gerald Ford pardon of Nixon had a start date and an end date. We know nothing about exactly what Donald Trump is pardoning Mike Flynn for. And we should. More importantly, Judge Emmet Sullivan needs to know. Why? Because Mike Flynn still has an active criminal case pending sentencing before Federal District Court Judge in Washington, D.C., Emmet Sullivan. So the first step, I suggest, is for Judge Sullivan to request a copy of the actual pardon, which none of us have yet seen. I searched for it online. I couldn't find it anywhere. Remember, just as Judge Amy Berman Jackson requested a formal copy of Donald Trump's sentence commutation for Roger Stone because she didn't know what it covered, right? The first thing Judge Sullivan would need to do is get a copy of this pardon that we have yet to see what it covers. And then he can act accordingly after he sees what it covers. Now, there are some people who maintain presidential pardons are absolute and untouchable, unreviewable, unchallengeable in a court of law. I say nonsense. Because if Donald Trump set up a pardon kiosk at the front door of the White House and said, I will give anybody a pardon for $1 million, just make the check payable to Donald J. Trump, thank you very much, would people say that that is unchallengeable in court? That that's a lawful constitutional exercise of the pardon power? If Donald Trump said, I hereby issue pardons for all white defendants in prison, but all confined defendants of color, you just go ahead and stay in that cell, finish out your sentence. Do the presidential pardon purists say that would be a lawful exercise of the pardon power that could not be challenged in court? And remember, let's use one that is not a hypothetical. President Trump's own appointee, Chief of Staff at the Department of Homeland Security, Miles Taylor, told us that Donald Trump once informed DHS officials that they should break our country's asylum laws and he would pardon them. Do the presidential pardon purists suggest that's a lawful exercise of the presidential pardon power, unchallengeable, unreviewable? I don't believe so. And folks, even Bill Barr, the corrupter of all things rule of law related, even Bill Barr testified before Congress that it is a crime for a president to swap a pardon for silence. Even Bill Barr, for gosh sakes. Folks, no person is above the law. No president is above the law, and no pardon is above the law. So stay tuned, because if there is any justice in America, Mike Flynn's legal perils are far from over. If there's any justice in America. And justice matters. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please stay tuned. and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.